Isn't it just insane how COVID-19 is now over? It's just over now. And and no one is talking about it anymore. I remember that when it broke out, everybody was just going insane and buying paper towels and toilet paper for some reason, and wearing masks and using hand sanitizer and not being able to get out of their houses. There was the lockdown. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Just the lockdown, not being able to get out of your house or go to your job, not seeing your friends and family for a very long time, not being able to go to a trip or travel, and now it's over. And I remember so many people died, like, and they are still dead. They are not going back to life. And think about how many orphans, were made by this virus. And now life is just going back to normal. And this begs the question of like, was it all for nothing? Just people just died just because. Like, there isn't a big lesson, nobody really learned anything, and normal life is back. And we can do whatever we want. And just, you really have to think about the value of life, because at the time anybody could be dead. Like, you could go out of your house and come back dead, unalived. And that was just the new normal. And so what is the value of life now that it's all back and just nobody talks about it anymore? It's just like a big dream, a dream fever, and it's all over now. And so I will never forget about it, because this was on such a global scale that I don't think I can ever not think about it, because it was a really big thing in my life. And you think like, oh, you really think about the human connections that we made and how now we have this new life and this purpose to live, because so many people were dead, and now we have this second chance to make everything better. And it's on these times that I think about how life is just so precious. It's just very precious to just live every day as it is. And there's a car going by. Anyways, and isn't it just crazy how we are all alive and we didn't learn anything? Like, I am still trying to think about what was the lesson, because it just feels like it was all a big waste of time. Like, people are just dying for no reason, and that is just so terrible, because that is just how life is. Sometimes you don't understand why people are dying for no reason, and just their souls just go. They just are not in this planet anymore. And that is just so painful. And I still remember all of those, days, nights, evenings, mornings, where I was at my house, and there was just this silence, this gigantic, ginormous silence and lack of sound. If I could describe the coronavirus era, I would say it was soundless. It didn't have taste. It didn't have anything. It was just blank, like a blank canvas where nothing was happening. And there was just this, hole inside of each one of us, like something was wrong. And every morning I was just waking up looking at the news, and my house was so quiet. The coronavirus really made my life feel quiet. There was no like things happening, and all I could think about was about everything because everything that I thought was important was now not important anymore. And everything I thought about my future was not certain because anybody could die. And just there was this silence where only your thoughts were there. And it was a very weird time. It's like I was reborn. I don't know if this is making any sense, but it just feels like the coronavirus years were not real. It doesn't feel like it was a real place, a real time, a real experience. It all feels like a dream that is just in your head, and then you wake up and you go back to your normal life. It just felt like when you go into a movie theater, then you watch a movie and then you sleep, and when the movie is over, you wake up and you're just like, oh, it's over now. It just feels like time didn't exist. It feels like everything was slowing down, and like I didn't feel like the same person afterwards. And I don't think I will ever be the same person. And of course, we all change with time. Of course, we change, but I think the coronavirus changes me in a lot of ways that I couldn't quite explain. You know, I was going to change when I grow up, but the corona made me change in strange ways, in ways that I don't think I was going to if the coronavirus never existed. And I had so many thoughts, and then I just felt reborn after, and even during that time, because I had so much time to just think about everything and live every moment as if it was going to end, because every day somebody was dying. And then you're just like, oh, when will I be the next person to die? And so every day felt so precious, and it felt so awesome, and it felt so real. It was like all of my emotions were at my head at once and just doing everything that they could. And then just, I was just waking up and looking myself in the mirror and thinking, someday this will all be over and it will be a new year, a new day, and a new, beginning for society. And just, everything was just so intense. There was intense silence, there was this intense blank space, and there was this intense feelings. Everything I was feeling hardcore. I felt everything. I felt love so deeply, and I felt such a deep sadness because those were such confusing times. And every day I just woke up and I said, I'm a new person. Because during the lockdowns and during the coronavirus and during everything, the pandemic, every day was just like a new chance to live. And I was just like, oh, I'm one of those lucky people who got another chance to live. And every day when I woke up, I was a different person. At one time, I thought I was this, and then I was a different thing, and then I was another thing. Every day was like a new side of me. And it was just, I can't put it into words. And then I was watching a lot of movies, and those movies, they began to feel so real because COVID was such a strange time that it doesn't feel real. So when you see fiction, fiction movies, they feel more real than your reality. They feel like the actual real world, and that you are living a movie. And just when I was looking at those movies, especially French movies, because I love France and I love French culture. I love Paris. I love the French language, bonjour and all of that stuff because it's so amazing. I was watching this movie, The Man Who Sleeps. That is the name of the movie, The Man Who Sleeps. And it was basically a man who gave up on being a social being. He just began to be alone and went wander to the streets and not talk to anyone and just pretend that like nothing was happening. And the time of the movie felt so, it felt like what I was feeling. I felt exactly like the man who sleeps. And just during the coronavirus, I thought every movie was true because everything was so crazy that when I saw crazy things, they just felt normal to me. And just, I was looking at the grass, the grass in my yard. It was just so green, and I was just feeling it with my hands and thinking, wow, this plant is here and I can feel it. And then I was just listening to music and I was just thinking, wow, I don't feel real. I feel like I'm in another thing. Like things that I touched, they felt like something else. Everything felt like something else. And during this time, I I began to talk a lot about spirituality, because I think that when times are weird, we begin to, seek some type of explanation, when the coronavirus hit, I was just like, what is spirituality? What is my soul, my spirit, my God? What is God, And then I really got into witchcraft, and because my life felt like witchcraft, it felt like something so bizarre was behind all of this. And I just wanted to know. I just wanted to understand even 1% of things because nothing felt concrete. So I just wanted to feel something and see something for myself. And then I began to learn about dragons and potions and spells and European witchcraft, voodoo, like African voodoo. And just, it was an interesting time because I truly believed about that. And I was just talking to spirits and asking them for answers and lighting candles and listening to music and meditating about my choices. It was a very spiritual time in my life because it was a very special in a weird way. It was not special in a good way, specifically because lots of people were dying, so that was terrible. But I just felt like I discovered new things about myself. And I don't know what the lesson was. Just all of those people suffering for nothing, But maybe it wasn't for nothing. Maybe it was just the natural course of humanity. Lots of people die every day, and that's just the way it is. And during that time, I was thinking about death. Every day I was thinking about death. And I was just like, death exists and it's so close to me. It just felt like death was hugging me and just touching me. It felt like I was death because just the fact that I was alive felt like death was even closer, and just, I just wish that people would remember that time and just think, I'm so glad it was over. I'm just so happy that we are back. We are back, but I will never forget that. It was just a part of my life that was just important to my development because it was during my middle school years. And just, it was just so crazy. So, yep, I think this video is just about my thoughts on the coronavirus and my memories and just it really made me appreciate the things that I have, because even when I don't have much, sometimes I just think, oh, I survived, and I think that's just enough. Some things, they're not perfect, but they're just enough. Yeah, I guess that's it.